orb and no Wind Rider upgrade. Right now the vault is getting sacked. The orc is breaking into the vault, if you will. But he's got very good tower placement right now, which a lot of human players usually don't have. Like when I watch, you know, various people's replays who ask me to watch their replays, the main concern that I have is that their tower placement kind of sucks, the big one. Because what they do is they have the, like, 2 or 3 towers out front, and they don't even have any farms or any arcane vaults. Like, they have their main base blocked off, you know, good for them. That's pretty easy to do. But a lot of people won't actually block off their expo and block off their towers behind various farms and other buildings. I've seen some better players even build things like a lumber mill or a blacksmith in front of their towers. And yeah, they're not very big buildings, but it's pretty important to have in front of the towers just so that they can't really maneuver that well and pick them off pretty quickly, just like footies. Because, you know, towers don't actually have that much HP, they have 700. Okay, that's a lie, they have a lot of HP. But until they're upgraded, they don't have much. So it just avoids any unpleasantries. And right now, more item usage. He's picked up a Tome of Retraining, the Invisi Potion, and the Potion of Lesser Invulnerability, and he's going to Paladin second, for those of you who missed it. Basically, this is sort of like the Mr. Cygnus strategy. Well, not Mr. Cygnus' strategy, because I don't think he ever used it, but he basically, at one point, talked about like going Paladin first for the Devotion Aura, and then going Mass Griffins with the Anti-Bat Rider Aura, and getting a bunch of upgrades, because you'd have like 3,000 armor, which would sort of make Bat Riders a little useless. And basically, it's sort of like that. If you watch the other replay that I included, as I said, I'd be referring to it. Good use of the Invulnerability Potion, just to avoid being ensnared. But yeah, if you notice in the next replay, he doesn't go, he goes Holy Light level 2, obviously. He doesn't go Divine Shield level 2, though. He goes Devotion Aura. And it's just pretty good for upgrades and things. And it just makes it so that 2 Bat Riders can't really take out a Griffin as easily as it could. So, more staff usage, which is pretty sweet. And right now he's actually creeping with the Paladin, so he's basically preventing any expo from going up at this moment, which does waste a bunch of lumber for Fly, because, you know, obviously it costs lumber to cancel. Yeah, you lose money when you cancel stuff. Anyways, Paladin's still level 1. Level 2 is pretty important just because it won't die as quickly, and that's pretty much the main thing. You don't want your Paladin to die. He is going Blood Mage 3rd, which is a rather interesting idea to do. And what this does is it allows his Griffins not only to do more damage to banished units, but it also allows him to save heroes and have basically unlimited mana for no matter what. Like, even if he didn't have Brilliance Aura, that's pretty much unlimited mana, as long as you can keep sucking the mana out of their heroes as effectively as possible. So, not sure where he's going with this Paladin, but whatever. Fly just lost a Spirit Walker to creeps. I totally missed that the first time I watched this. That is hilarious. Man, I thought I was an idiot when I lost things to creeps. Apparently pros do it, so it's okay, guys. You can start losing units to creeps whenever you feel like it. So yeah, you'll notice Griffins already have the armor upgrade. Well, one armor upgrade, which is pretty important, getting armor upgrades, especially when they have no expo, because generally if they don't have an expo, they'll have to rely more on Bat Riders than they can on rely on Wind Riders, because generally you need an expo just to match up the Wind Riders to be able to, you know, take out Griffins effectively. That's what I was going for. Those are the words I was looking for. So, Witch Doctor gets owned. That's a smart thing to have as an orc player, actually, is just have a witch doctor running around placing wards. This way you can actually, you know, jack them more effectively, catch them in bad positioning, and then you can creep more with your blademaster. Just kidding. And basically, smart move, he passes the staff, and then he's going to banish the paladin and staff him out. And basically, banish gets rid of any ensnare. The only problem is it reduces your movement speed. It does last long enough to be effective, though. Check that out, a banished rat / bunny. That was a bunny, never mind. So, unfortunately, the blood mage goes down, which is too bad.
Our hero has fallen.
Of course, he did, you know, waste a bunch of Spirit Walker mana, which is good, but losing your hero is probably worse. So right now he's just going to hide behind his towers, losing a couple footies. Always a bummer, because it just means quicker level 5. But there's not really much you can do, especially when you're playing for a late game. Yeah, delaying the level 5 is also super important to do, just because it means they can do like 200 plus damage and critical strikes, which is just gross. So, anyways, continuing on. Crap, I just got out of sync. Alright, I'm at 17, 15, alright. Yeah, sorry, I hit the Alt-Tab button, and things went wonky. So, he's actually getting a couple knights right now, because it's good to have some sort of meat shield and extra damage output against whatever's running around on the ground, plus it rapes knights. One thing I haven't mentioned is that a lot of people don't get the mechanical critters, which are actually, well, they're not only pretty awesome, but they're a pretty good tool for scouting, in terms of knowing where expos are going to go up, because creeps don't actually take out the sheep / rabbits / whatever pops up. The only problem is, and I don't know, I think this should be sort of fixed, is that sometimes you'll have a map like this map, and you'll summon like a deer, or perhaps an albatross, which there aren't any on the map, so it's kind of suspicious looking. So that's a good thing to keep in mind, is that you know, you can use those, but sometimes they're pretty bad to use. Now, interestingly enough, Fly decides to go after the blood mage first, as opposed to the paladin, forcing him to actually use his devotion aura, which this is the great thing about this hero combination, is that you have one hero that can save the paladin, and the paladin can save the blood mage. And even things like that, like a banished blood mage will actually take a lot more healing than the average unit would without it. So this is kind of the wind down of this strategy, and basically what it's based around is stopping the blademaster from actually doing any serious damage to your heroes, and to taking out their heroes and their various units very quickly. And obviously preventing bat riders from doing anything atrocious to your units. See, right now, look at, that was a perfect banish. And that was a perfect staff, actually, like split second. That was just beautiful, you have to admit. Unfortunately, he will probably lose this blood mage. Yeah, critical strike takes another victim, which is too bad. But basically, this is an interesting approach, because a lot of people will go for the Mountain King and try and neutralize their heroes, as opposed to just, you know, let them do the damage that they're going to do, and simply try to compensate for that by saving your heroes, saving your units, and it's just, you know, trying to outdo them with attrition until their heroes actually can't beat up on yours. You'll notice 224 critical strike. That's just 204. I mean, that's pretty gross. If he had an orb, he'd probably be better off right now, but he didn't really get tier 3 until a little late. Obviously the armor upgrades didn't save those griffins, but whatever. And now he decides to tower, which is basically just finishing off the expo, establishing positioning, and just making sure that he doesn't get a hold of this expo. And then all you really have to do from here is make sure your heroes don't die too often. Because obviously they're going to die here and there. Shadowhunter had a TP, but I don't think that really would have saved him. He only has another 1,000 gold in his gold mine. And plus Michael's going to be taking over that expo anyways. So basically, it's an interesting approach at the strategy. So I've used it a couple times. It's actually pretty effective. Because most people really don't know how to counter it, which is the beauty of most new good strategies. Like, I don't know, you used to see Mountain King first a lot, or Paladin first a lot against Undead, and you don't see that much anymore, just because a lot of people didn't really know what to do against it. I mean, I guess some people probably still don't, but it's a cool strategy to do. And in the other replay, he does a couple different decisions, but the mechanics of it still stay the same, so it's an interesting way to deal with the orc.